Let's try this again. I am still on the verge of trying to find some secondary content and always willing to give you guys some sort of secondary content to mix things up from the normal content that I give you, which is mostly WWE 2K gameplay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love giving you guys WWE 2K gameplay and will always continue to do that. But the fact of the matter is, I'm always looking for secondary content, and this is one of those cases. So back in the day, if anybody's wondering where the WWE's gaming journey started, then well, you got to look back to the Nintendo game system or the Nintendo Entertainment System and the late 1980s. It was, you got to look back at in the late 1980s because the NES was running the show and WWE wanted to get back into or get into the world of professional wrestling. They did exactly that with WWF Wrestlemania in 1988. It was their second foray into wrestling. Into video games. Their first being Micro League Wrestling in 1987, developed by Micro League Multimedia Inc. and published by Micro League Multimedia Inc. It appeared on the MS-DOS, Amiga, Atari, ST, and Commodore 64. The next installment in the WWE video game library would be WWF Wrestlemania for the NES, which is a game that I bought a few months back because it was cheap, and I was looking at the possibility of expanding the collection into that avenue, or along that avenue. And even though the NES is a little bit before my time, I thought that the best thing for me to do was, well, it was only $3, so why not? I will say that the NES is a little bit before my time because the earliest WWE game that I remember is WWF In Your House, which even that is a little bit before my time because it was released in November 1996. Again, Acclaim was WWE's original game publisher, publishing every game for the WWE outside of two of them or three of them, sorry. But I don't think three of them actually released in the United States. But every United States release from WWE in the gaming world from 1989 to 1999 was from Acclaimed. So for 10 years, Acclaim was WWE's game developer and publisher, or game publisher, I should say. Sculptured Studios seems to be their game developer, or Sculptured Software. Sorry. Sculptured Software seems to be their game developer. But I remember In Your House, and it seems like In Your House and WrestleMania were of similar varieties, with WrestleMania including 6 talents, or 6 wrestlers, in the game: Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, Honky Tonk Man, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Bam Bam Bigelow, with Bam Bam Bigelow obviously clearly being the outlier, but Bam Bam was one of the top babyfaces in WWF at the time, with DiBiase and Andre being the top heels, and the Honky Tonk Man as the Intercontinental Champion, as well as either Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage as the WWF Champion, because if you want to know where WWE was in 1988, it is pretty easy to remember because that is when the twin referee match happened, the main event, where 33 million people watched Andre the Giant steal the WWF Championship from Hulk Hogan, and Ted DiBiase proceed to purchase the title from Andre, setting up the tournament at WrestleMania 4 for the WWF Championship that Randy Savage ended up winning. So it really depends. Based on the fact that this release date says January 1st, 1989, or January of 1989, I would say Randy Savage would probably be considered the world champion in this game. Speaking of WrestleMania, though, if you want to know how in-depth this game was, you had the option of doing a 1-versus-1 match, singles match, either versus the computer or versus another player, or a tournament match, which was basically what would become season mode. And basically, you would pick Hulk Hogan and then have to defeat all 5 other members of the roster, with the last person you defeat being the champion, and if you defeat them, then you're considered the champion as far as WWF Wrestlemania is concerned. There was also no ring out allowed in the game, which probably had something to do with render. And as far as a rendering, as far as I know, In Your House may have been the first game in the WWE series. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the WWE video game library, In Your House is the first game that allows ring out. If not, Warzone is definitely the first game that does. I don't know if Raw is War or WWF Raw or WrestleMania the arcade game or Rage in the Cage allow ring out, but I know offhand that Warzone does. I'm not sure, and I don't remember if In Your House does. But one thing that is unique to the game, in my opinion, is red or angry wrestlers can inflict more damage on their opponents, which my interpretation is that if you get, like if it's like a last-ditch effort for you as the player to defeat your opponent, and if you don't cash in, then you lose. It's like one last chance to make it happen, and if you don't, you lose. You're done. So I think that is something that was unique to that game, and, well, worth pointing out. But for those wondering, because as you see, you even got the back box art, the correct box art. This is not the original case. I actually bought this case from CustomGameCases.com. I probably could have looked for the original case. I didn't even think about that until right now. But, the one thing I would note is, even though it may not be the original, it still looks really good. And they do CustomGameCases.com does a wonderful job on these game cases that they send and make for you, so you don't have to go out of your way to find the original game cases. You let them make one for you to save you the trouble. But either way, this has just been my way of trying something new and something different. If you enjoy this type of content, let me know down in the comment section below. But also feel free to let me know where your gaming journey began. What console, what wrestling game was your first? What console was your first? What game was your first? Let me know down in the comment section below. As it is time for me to say goodbye. Until next time, I will see you again soon.